Hello and welcome to the Collective Shift channel. Matt here to share with you the latest news from the past week in the macro space and the crypto industry. Starting off with the macro economy and the state of the stock markets and whatnot, it's been a very, very similar and familiar story over the past week, with stock markets really just struggling to break out of this overall doom and gloom sort of feeling among investors. Particularly to do with, I guess, how soon the interest rate increases are looking like they're going to be, or more importantly, rather, sooner than expected. And also just the reeling in of monetary stimulus. Again, it all looks to be coming and wrapping up a lot quicker than expected. That isn't good for stock markets or any really relatively high risk assets such as tech stocks or crypto assets, for reasons I've gone over in several videos in the past. But really, the incentive, the lowdown of it is the incentive to look for higher risk assets just isn't as pronounced when you have a monetary policy situation where I guess interest rates are a bit higher and there isn't any monetary stimulus, which is really the path we're heading down very soon, in terms of 2022 and 2023, given the consistent inflationary pressures that have been just bubbling up and are now being seen everywhere, all around the world, whether it's energy prices, and other commodity prices reaching, multi-year highs, and just increasing consumer prices when you go down to the shops and whatnot due to factors caused by COVID, such as supply chain shortages and whatnot. However, those, as we've seen now, we're now heading into the third year of this COVID situation, and, there still is going to be supply chain issues, in my opinion, for the foreseeable future anyway. So the importance of that is it's still going to have inflationary impacts on the prices of what we all buy and what we buy down at the shops, or what businesses buy to import and to manufacture goods. When the price of everything's going up, interest rates are really, there is more of a tendency for interest rates to go higher in an effort of central bankers and central banks around the world to really just try to rein things in from getting too overheated, and they don't want a scenario where inflation is consistently above 3%. So over the past week, in terms of the biggest developments, there wasn't anything too major apart from just the market activity again just being a bit downtrodden based off of indicators to do with inflation, and indicators just to do with COVID disrupting availability of supplies. It's really the same story, so I didn't really want to spend too much time on it this week because I'll start sounding like a broken record. And yeah, again, a reflection. Also, you can tell that the monetary stimulus is coming to an end. You've also seen the bond yields rising as well, which are seen as some of the relatively the least riskiest of any asset that you can put your money into. So when the yield of those is going higher, you can tell that just the mood of the market is getting a lot more conservative and kind of not getting so risk seeking, but they're actually kind of keen to put their money into, they don't really see the point of going after tech stocks or crypto assets, for example. They're happy to put their money into bonds because the yields are starting to increase due to, again, just that lessening of monetary stimulus. So yeah, really that's just the tail of the tape there for the past 7 days. in terms of just bridging before we get into crypto, I did just want to touch on this, which I saw just before I started this recording, was that SoFi, a really big, a fast-growing fintech company based in San Francisco. They finally, after 3 years of trying, got approval from its two key regulators to become a bank holding company. This really shot up its market value after hours when this was announced. I am telling you this because expect to see a lot more of SoFi's name if you are a close monitoring the crypto space, or if you're an investor in crypto. I would expect to see SoFi's name really continuing to make more of a splash into crypto. A lot of their earlier investors were from the crypto space. So now that they have this bank charter and approval, I would not be surprised at all to see them really, pioneer the, Bitcoin banking, quote unquote, sort of scene, where I think the opportunity is so lucrative. I think we saw Kraken last year get a bank charter, and they're now, really getting set up in, becoming an institution where you can borrow and lend based off of putting down your Bitcoin as collateral. That's definitely the path we're going to. All it really depends on is the speed at which regulators are willing to, tolerate it. I think with the persistent, attempts by the industry to educate regulators, I think it will eventually happen. It's just a matter of speed. And this announcement today with SoFi being approved was very significant. And I think I'm expecting personally to see them make a lot of big plays in the crypto space. And that's good for investors, because that's good for crypto investors like myself, and possibly you out there, because that will really move the needle in terms of adoption of crypto and use cases and applicability of what you can do with Bitcoin and other major crypto assets. All right, on to officially the first crypto news piece. It was a huge week. I've really had a hard time refining it and condensing it to the biggest news pieces for the week. So I'll do my best. But yeah, starting things off with Pantera. So a Bitcoin and crypto investment firm, one of the first. I think they go back all the way to 2013 or 2014. Reports here from the block that they're preparing to raise more than $1 billion for a new venture fund. If you know Pantera, they've had many funds over the years, so this will actually be their fourth, and they've been a really big driver of helping to grow the crypto industry. So to see that figure of 1 billion, I think we saw a couple over 1 billion towards the end of last year. A16Z was definitely one of them, and then Paradigm was another one very late last year. So if Pantera can also raise 1 billion for a venture fund, holy moly, look out. It's just, as I've said many times in the past 6 months or so, after all my 3-4 years in the industry, I've never seen such access to external capital from not only crypto venture funds. Sure, that's always going to happen, but you're also seeing non-crypto venture funds also allocating towards the asset class by investing in the picks and shovels types of companies, and all of that is super encouraged, and I love seeing all that because it just accelerates ultimately the adoption of what you can do with these crypto assets. So exciting stuff there from Pantera. Some other big news that dropped overnight, Australian time, was Intel. They are in February set to unveil what they're calling an ultra low voltage Bitcoin mining ASIC. So the ASICs, which are essentially just the main kind of mining hardware that is used to to mine Bitcoin. I think Intel said they've been working on this for several years. So to see such a, I guess, widely recognized name admitting and announcing that they have been working on a Bitcoin specific mining ASIC for several years was super legitimizing. That was my take from it. And it will also, I suppose, help ease supply or ease demand, kind of. I guess there's so much demand for these chips at the moment, not only for Bitcoin mining, but for you name it, several other computing and manufacturing related industries. So to see Intel then now being able to add to the supply of the Bitcoin mining ASICs is really pleasing to see, and it kind of dilutes the market structure a bit as well, because right now it's basically Bitmain and MicroBT as they're like two of the top kind of Bitcoin mining ASIC manufacturers. This wasn't strictly crypto related, but you'll kind of see why I've included it anyway in a second. Microsoft, we all know who they are. They have acquired overnight Activision for $69 billion. So Activision is many of you would be familiar with them. They're a very popular video game maker. They have now been bought out by Microsoft for what is by far their biggest ever acquisition in dollar terms. Obviously, valuations of companies have exploded in the past 2 years, but that aside, I think it's still by some distance their biggest acquisition. I think they acquired LinkedIn in 2016 or 15, and that was nowhere near this size. So again, why am I even including this in this video? It's just because more just metaverse related hints and examples of non-crypto companies kind of seeing the applicability and potential of metaverse. Yes, metaverse, the name has been heavily tainted and it never really was owned by the crypto industry, but it is increasingly, I guess, synonymous with blockchain based games and whatnot. So even if Activision or now Microsoft doesn't really enter into a metaverse, a blockchain based metaverse, I'm sure they would eventually integrate blockchain based solutions into their metaverse tech. So what do I mean by that? They could release NFTs or non-fungible tokens, which are all the rage right now. They could integrate those into their metaverse, quite easily. And that's what I think Meta, or formerly known as Facebook, that's what they're planning to do. And it just kind of makes sense for Microsoft to also do that. I think I covered later last year, I think Nike is another one that is looking to get into metaverse, the whole metaverse space. So just continue, like 2022, expect to see the term metaverse. You'll be sick of it by the end of the year if you're not already. But that was just another kind of very big announcement that came in. Right, more specifically to the NFT space, had news overnight. Also, it was a big 24 hours of news in particular. So OpenSea, I'm sure everyone would be familiar. If you aren't, they are the world's biggest marketplace for non-fungible tokens. So you go to OpenSea to look at all the NFTs that are available to buy and sell. That's basically the main place. It's more or less the go-to place to exchange NFTs. They have acquired Dharma Labs. So they're a crypto wallet solution. They have been around for several years. I think about since 2016 or 17. I think the founder was one of the earliest employees at Coinbase. And from everything I've read over the years, their team and their designers on their team, their UX designers, are very well renowned, and they have a really strong reputation of making their app as as user friendly as you can in I guess this crypto space, which is incredibly hard to make user friendly. So this is a big move by OpenSea. The amount of the acquisition was not disclosed. Why is this such a big deal for OpenSea? I think just bringing on this team from Dharma, I think bringing them into OpenSea's team, that in and of itself is a major win. Again, I think Dharma's had a very strong reputation of understanding what crypto investors and traders desire, and what they like, what they don't like. So all that IP and knowledge is a really strong gain for OpenSea. And then it will really just accelerate their ability to bring out more user-friendly solutions, particularly the OpenSea mobile app, just making all of those, more user-friendly, really. Also, I think Dharma was doing really great work in terms of, fiat on-ramps. Again, if you don't know what those are, just think of it as a bridge, something to get your Australian dollars, US dollars, British pounds. If you want to get those into the whole world of crypto and you want to buy some cryptocurrency, that's typically called an on-ramp. And a few years ago, they were really primitive solutions and very clunky. And Dharma has done a lot of work on improving those. So again, all of that IP and knowledge is now owned by OpenSea, and it's going to be exciting to see what they can produce. I did just want to note potential alpha leak coming here. Pay attention. Nadav, he's the one who was I think he was the third Coinbase employee. I was just reading his Twitter thread earlier, him just reflecting on Dharma's journey and what he's now aiming to do at OpenSea. And on his 9th tweet, he did, I'll just read it out. "My goal is to evangelize the embrace of quote unquote strong decentralized technologies within OpenSea. Users of OpenSea ought to be rewarded for the value they bring to the platform, and crypto primitives give us the most powerful tools for doing this." So why is this such a big deal? Why have I highlighted it? As you would have seen if you have been actively keeping up to date with the space, LooksRare has been an NFT platform that has gone live in the past week and a half, and they have basically positioned themselves as the people's OpenSea. What does that even mean? They mean a marketplace, an NFT marketplace that is owned by holders of the LooksRare token. So if you trade on LooksRare at the moment, you get the Looks token, and they're basically disseminating that token and making it, more and more distributed and owned by the users. And that has long been a criticism of OpenSea, or not so much a criticism by some, yes, but it's just been more of a thing, for lack of a better term. It's more like users of OpenSea have long been suspecting a token was going to come, and it never has. Again, it's more just an inbuilt kind of expectations of users in crypto, given how many life-changing airdrops users have received in the past 12 months. I think OpenSea was touted by many as the next one to conduct an airdrop and in an effort to kind of decentralize the whole company. So to see this by Nadav and someone who is pushing for the powers of decentralized technology, which in many ways is code for, or one of the examples of doing that is to have an OpenSea token. Again, decentralizing OpenSea would just mean, if I'm really dumbing it down, decentralizing OpenSea would mean OpenSea launching a token. And I'll just leave it at that instead of getting into why that's the case. But yeah, this is very, very exciting. It's the strongest, to see someone of that mindset, is very it's very refreshing, and I think OpenSea might now be more open to launching a token. You know, they've seen LooksRare, all the market share that LooksRare has taken very quickly, which is heavily incentivized and subsidized and won't be around in, you know, a couple of years. Yes. However, it's still nonetheless made an impact. And I think OpenSea are aware of the, I guess, the, you know, personalities and I guess, desires and habits of the crypto community, and what they really value is decentralization, or a lot of them. And if OpenSea were to continue down this route of not having a token, it would, you know, I kind of, to put it quickly, it kind of just leaves the door open. Again, that word open, it leaves the door open for competitors to come in, such as LooksRare. So I'll leave it at that. For those of you who want to learn about LooksRare, Armin, the Chief Growth Officer at Collective Shift, he did his first video on the Collective Shift YouTube channel last week on what his thoughts on LooksRare are and how it compares to OpenSea, what he's doing personally in terms of earning extra ETH by using the LooksRare token and what's called staking it onto LooksRare. People are making a killing off of that, and Armin is one of them who is doing so. So if you did want to watch that video, I will embed it in the YouTube video that you're watching right now, and you can go check that out. Definitely am pumped to see more content from Armin this year. Just to finish off with Dharma, I think there was also a lot of just low-key disappointment by long-term users who, again, Dharma was one who had not yet released a token. And I think many users were more or less hoping and expecting that there would be eventually. So all those dreams are basically being quashed by this acquisition, because Dharma is actually going to, be discontinued in the coming months, and the whole product Dharma won't exist. So that was just a bit of a loss for people who were basically front running it and using it purely for the sake of getting an airdrop. But that's just an aside there. I'll tell you what, the NFT marketplace wars are really heating up with, again, the last 24 hours, just a whirlwind. Coinbase, so they're very much hyped and anticipated NFT marketplace. Slated to come out, I think, towards the end of Q1. So could be February, but I would be expecting it in March. But who knows, they might accelerate it because of all of this stuff that's happened with LooksRare and the popularity it is seeing to date. But that aside, what happened overnight, Coinbase has said they will let you pay with Mastercard in its upcoming NFT marketplace. So what the result of this partnership means that you'll be able to directly buy an NFT with fiat currency, so US dollars or Australian dollars, using your Mastercard credit or debit card, all without having to buy the cryptocurrency first. That last bit is really, really key. If I want to buy an NFT of anything, if I want to buy an NFT on OpenSea at the moment, I have to, the vast majority of people have to buy cryptocurrency first, either through an exchange like CoinSpot, Independent Reserve, Binance, Kraken. Then they have to buy it on there and then send it over to OpenSea, wait for it to get in your wallet, and then they have to buy the NFT on OpenSea. So, that for a lot of people, that's too much. Like, that's too many steps and it's too confusing. So to reduce that mental hurdle, to see that this will be directly embedded in Coinbase's NFT marketplace is enormous, in my opinion, and should not be discounted or underappreciated. I'm not sure on whether this is US only. A lot of these sorts of announcements tend to be geographically confined, at least at the start, whilst they get the process well oiled and then they typically then expand into other regions and make make those payment integrations enabled. So I'm not too sure what the deal was there, but nonetheless, a huge partnership. I do just want to throw in this here on my walk. Actually, last night, I went to the Australian Open last night, and walked past this advertisement that was being put up, and I almost had to look twice. I just finished a whole massive day of crypto, and then I walk outside, and I see these Bored Apes on the wall, and it turns out it was Caleb and Brown, a really long-standing crypto asset broker. They were putting up an advertisement which was filled with how many? We got 7. Oh no, there was one up there. There was 8 Bored Apes. So Bored Apes being one of the most well-known NFTs and the most highly valued NFTs. I was kind of just amazed at what I was seeing, and it was a sign of the times of just how far the NFT market has come and how much further I believe it will continue to grow in the coming months. I think people who have been in the space a long time think that the NFT market is kind of getting a bit frothy. There has been some examples of collections and projects this week which have just been ridiculous, or like meme NFTs which have been, really going crazy and then dumping. That is typically a sign of frothiness. But that aside, I think a lot of people don't appreciate how small the NFT market still is, even relative to the whole crypto asset market. I was put onto this website this week, nftgo.io, and they've attempted to value the market cap of the entire NFT space. I'm sure that there's pros and cons to any metric, but that aside, they have put that figure at $12.3 billion US worth. So at the moment there are 12.3. The whole value of the NFT market is 12.3 billion. I would assume this is just on Ethereum layer 1. However, that is where the vast majority of NFTs exist anyway. So let's just add in all the other chains like Solana, Tezos have a, decently live NFT kind of scene. So even if we call it 20 billion, which is probably being generous, that's nothing. Like that is really, like, when you compare it to the size of the crypto asset market, which, as I get up CoinGecko here, so if we call it 15 billion, 20 billion, the whole value of the entire crypto asset market is over 2 trillion. Bitcoin itself is 800 billion and Ethereum is at 377 billion. So it's just, I think that kind of surprised me, to be honest. And I'm sure it will surprise you as well, that yes, we've seen such crazy growth, but it's all been, very, very confined, and it's we've seen it probably grow from within the crypto industry itself, and now we're just starting to see it branch out into other areas of creativity, creative endeavors and whatnot. You saw me speak about last week how I'm particularly bullish on NFT music, but there's several other creative endeavors which are starting to really integrate NFTs a bit more heavily. After 2021, I would call that was spent a lot researching and learning about NFTs by all of these external creative industries. So music NFTs is one that I'm particularly bullish on, but there's several others which are just starting to gain some momentum now. Photography NFTs, fashion NFTs, and obviously the art related NFTs have been there since the start, but they're just continuing now to increase in, I guess, what you can do with them, and the amount of people and artists who are getting involved with creating their own. So I'm bringing all this to your attention because I think a lot of people in crypto are really kind of thinking it's about to go into a heavy bear market, and that may be correct, but in my opinion, after seeing like these sorts of figures and comparing it to the whole crypto space, I think we've still got a really, strong, at least 2 months of like really strong explosive growth in the NFT market. I do think it's inevitable that there'll be a multi-month long cooling off period where, all of the speculation and fervor kind of just, disappears, because by definition, hype always has to come to an end. But even then, like, it's just hard to see that there being like a multi-year bear market, which has been the case in crypto in the past. But that's really been because crypto in 2016, 17, 18, like the utility of it still wasn't that tangible, and like it was still very conceptual at the time, which made the case for being a multi-year bear market a bit stronger, because a lot of the investment like hype in late 2017 was driven by, forward-looking kind of projections and these projects, saying what they will do with their blockchain-based solution. Some of that came true, some of it didn't. But, I guess what I'm saying with NFTs is I can't really see there being a 2-year long heavy bear market, because the applicability of it is just so much more tangible. And you're seeing it every day, whether it's, all these creatives such as singers. I've been through this all last week and throughout the end of last year, but like this is having like real impact on people's careers. It's having real impacts on, the corporations and organizations who are getting involved. It's just, in terms of connection with brands, connecting with their consumers and with their community. It's all very tangible stuff, which is not, did not exist when it came to the crypto asset heavy bear market, or crypto winter, as some of you may know it as. So they're just a few of my thoughts here on the state of the NFT market. I bring that up because just have a look at this chart for those of you who are watching on YouTube. For those of you listening on the podcast, what I'm looking at is, what are we up to? January 19th. And we're almost up to $4 billion in monthly volume on OpenSea. And mind you, that's been when LooksRare has launched and has extracted and sucked out a lot of that volume. So if LooksRare wasn't around, like that figure would already be significantly higher. But it's already done, just about 4 billion in month to date volume. And the biggest before that was in August, at the whole of August. So all the days in August was almost 3.5 billion. And back then it just seemed like insane. It seemed like this could not go on at all. And that's the case we got because of just how exponential that rise was. But in January, we've actually had that period of the back half of 2021 has actually been time when all these NFT projects have been making partnerships and building their solutions, or not, building stuff that was promised on their roadmap. Bored Ape Yacht Club is a huge one there, which is, very soon coming out with their BAYC token. I think Cool Cats is another one that's coming out with their milk token. They're just two examples of, I guess, solutions that have been worked on. But aside from that, I guess it's just the communities that are behind these NFTs have, really created stuff together over these past 6 months. And now when you see a spike like this in January, it's actually, a bit more legitimate, and you can actually kind of see it basically not, crashing immediately like it did. So I would expect February to be very similar volume to January, if not bigger, just because things are really starting to get moving. And for the reasons I've said just in the past 5-10 minutes and in other episodes, I just think that whole NFT market has like just massive potential and untapped potential. So just wanted to highlight that there, because this would surprise I think so many people of just how much of a record month this already is, using OpenSea as a proxy for the whole NFT market. In terms of Bitcoin and Ethereum over the past week, it's been, you know, pretty mundane, to be honest. I think, what were we last week? For the whole week, we're just about flat. Bitcoin is at the moment, it's trading at, you know, 42,300. I think when I spoke to you last, it was a bit above that. All three long-term moving averages are still above the current Bitcoin price, which is particularly bearish, at least when you're looking at the long term. And then, you know, the RSI, relative strength index, is still, you know, around 36, which is on the, I guess, more you know, heavily oversold kind of territory. So again, looking at ETH, it's, you know, gone down a bit more towards 3,150, and it's down on the week as well. I think it's going to be hard to see crypto assets like as I said in the previous weeks, they're just so as closely correlated as I can ever remember to tech stocks in particular. And it's hard to kind of see that narrative kind of breaking out anytime soon. I think long term, I definitely see it like, you know, decorrelating, or that correlation, you know, getting significantly smaller, to the point where it's just basically uncorrelated. But that's many years away, in my opinion. I think this is some of the tightest correlation ever, so it will probably, you know, eventually correct a bit. But, you know, I don't really see stock markets, you know, really exploding higher anytime soon. I can see them trading rage bound for a while, if not maybe selling off even further. And I think, you know, that's more or less what I'm seeing for BTC and ETH, at least in the very, very short term. You know, I still like would, you know, it's funny, right? Because traditionally you would expect there to be like an all-time high in this cycle that was probably above what we got in October. But at the moment, like particularly at the start of January, is, you know, it's really starting to not look like that will happen, which some people would interpret that as bullish, because when this market tends to surprise you when everyone thinks they're a genius and they've got it all figured out. So that's why I don't really spend too much time looking at charts, to be honest. I'm definitely more of a long-term investor, but I'm very comfortable, I suppose, with the state of the market. I don't really believe that there'll be a 2-3 year bear market like we saw last time. So I think there are so many investment opportunities right now, both in the crypto asset market as well as the NFT market. So, you know, in terms of my own personal investments and what I share with members, like Collective Shift members, I still see, you know, so many upcoming investments that I'm thinking of making, and some that I have actually made recently, which was one of them that I did go through, I think, this week for members, about what my investments were recently in terms of the most bullish, undervalued NFTs that I perceive as being undervalued. So I think there's a lot more opportunity in the NFT space at the moment, again, for those reasons that I've said, all in this episode. However, I'm looking forward to doing a lot more content on, I guess, NFT investing in particular, this year, and then as well as covering some crypto asset investments I'm making as well. But yeah, it was great to see some of those NFTs I shared this week have a really good week, and one in particular was extremely exciting yesterday when they did a big reveal, and I did see some members actually get some really really high value kind of reveals, which was super exciting to see, and they were pumped. So yeah, I guess just wrapping it up, what am I looking at for the week ahead? It's really just not all my focus, but large majority is on the NFT space. I just think there's a lot more opportunity in terms of investing. There are some projects that I've recently invested in, and some that I'm looking to invest in that I'll be continuing to share with members. NFT music is one that I'm continuing to research, and I will be sharing, I guess, an overview and my opinion on it to members this week. But yeah, I think we've got a strong coverage in multiple areas now for the Collective Shift team, which is promising to see, which can allow me to go a bit deeper into NFTs, for example. So yeah, it's very exciting time. I think tomorrow we do actually have an NFT investing workshop that I'm doing with another analyst that we have here at Collective Shift. So that'll be exciting. And yeah, I know there's many in the group and our community who have been investing in NFTs for a while. So it's probably not going to be, or it might be, who knows? It might not be for them, but they might still get some gems out of it. But yeah, I think there's still some investment opportunities for NFTs. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, if you are watching on YouTube, it would be awesome and very much appreciated if you could subscribe and leave a comment, all of that. If you're listening on our podcast, on one of the popular podcast streaming services, thank you for your support. And again, a rating or a subscribe would be heavily appreciated. But I will leave it there. I hope you do enjoy the rest of your week, and thank you for tuning in.